Thursday morning, Simpsonville, South Carolina. Weather outside is 36 degrees, but it's going to warm up into the 50s. Beautiful, bright, sunny day. Gorgeous blue skies. And I hope that you're having a nice day wherever you are as well. One more look back at the 7 letters to the 7 churches in the book of Revelation. And this is the most important look that we'll probably take. Not only because we've looked at what corrective action we ought to take in our lives based on the churches, but this one gives us a little glimpse of glory, a little picture of heaven. First in Ephesus, in chapter 2, verse 7, it says we're going to eat of the tree of life. You say, well, that's good for us Baptists. We love to eat. Well, in Genesis chapter 2, verse 9, it says it's good fruit in the tree of life. In Revelation chapter 22, it tells us 12 kinds of fruit. 12 kinds. And not only that, but they're there every month. Every month, a new crop of fruit comes on the trees. And so there'll be no shortage of fruit. And I don't know what kind you like, but I guarantee if it says in Genesis it's good fruit, it'll be good fruit. 12 different kinds. You'll never get tired of the same thing. In Smyrna, in chapter 2, verse 11, it says we're going to get the crown of life. Imagine. Jesus is going to crown us with the crown of life. And James chapter 1, verse 12 talks about that crown of life. In Pergamum, it tells us that we're going to have hidden manna. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been to some buffets, and the good stuff is usually way back where you can hardly reach it. You got your nose pressed right against the sneeze guard, and the good stuff's all the way in the back of that buffet line. Or if it's the dessert area, that pecan pie and that cheesecake is way out in the back. And usually it's down to 1 or 2 really teeny slices. But we're going to have hidden manna. Hidden manna. I mean, it sounds more and more like a Baptist place, doesn't it, all this eating? And then it says we're going to have a white stone with a new name on it. You see, my name, because I was born into the Vanduay family, is Vanduay. But I'm going to get a new name in heaven. And my guess is, and this is divine speculation, it's going to be that my new name is His. I belong to Him. His. Pete His. And in the Thyatira it says we'll rule and reign with Him. We'll rule and reign with Him. What a wonderful thing to be joint heirs and to be with Him in heaven. And it also tells us in Thyatira in chapter 2, verses 26 through 28, that we'll have the morning star. And we know that that's been already revealed to us as the bride of Christ. We're going to be the bride of Christ, and we'll be His. In Sardis, in chapter 3, verse 5, it says we'll have white garments. Now, I don't know about you, but I kind of like new clothes once in a while, and we're going to have new white glistening garments. And it says that no one will be able to erase our name out of the book of life. It's a wonderful thing that we'll never have to worry about being erased out of the book of life. And it says that He will confess our names. Now, do you remember when you graduated from high school? Everybody walked the same. Everybody wore the same cap and gown. But there was one thing that was different. When the principal or whoever was giving out the diplomas, maybe it was a local official, he said, graduating today is Pete Vanduay. That was different, wasn't it? And so he's going to confess our name before God. He's going to say, here it is. Here's the one that overcame. Here's the one that was one of my children, Pete Vanduay. And then we have in Philadelphia, the church to Philadelphia, chapter 3, verse 12, will be pillars in the temple of God. Now, many times in church we'll say that he was a pillar of the church because he was so important. But we'll be pillars in the temple of God, and God's name will be upon us, and we'll be in the New Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem. The name of Jerusalem will be on us. And then in Laodicea, in chapter 3, verse 21, it tells us, and this is the best part, God always saves the best for last, doesn't He? In Laodicea, chapter 3, verse 21, it says, we'll sit down with Him on His throne. Not just around the table. We talk about sitting around the table, but we're going to sit down on His throne with Him because we're going to be joint heirs with Him. And it says, just so that we get the idea of this, just like I did with the Father. Now here's the picture. Jesus came to earth. He lived amongst us. He died. He rose again. And then he sat down with the Father in heaven. And we're going to sit down with him on his throne. Isn't that going to be good? I've done a number of funerals over the course of my ministry. Probably hundreds at this point. But there's one section of scripture that I love to read to remind people what heaven is like. Let me read it to you. It's Revelation 21, verses 1 through 5. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. And I saw a new holy city, a new Jerusalem. Remember, Jerusalem's going to be one of our names. Coming down out of heaven from God, made ready as a bride adorned for her husband. Ever seen a bride on wedding day? I mean, she has got her hair just perfect. She has got her makeup just perfect. And she has a radiance that is only surpassed by a mother that is expecting a child, as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Behold, the tabernacle of God is among men, and he will dwell among them, and they shall be his people. And God himself will be with them. And he will wipe away," listen, "he will wipe away every tear from their eyes. And there'll no longer be any death, no more mourning, no more crying, and no more pain, for these things will have passed away." Can you imagine if we just had that one verse, verse 4, wiping away every tear, with no more death and no more mourning and no more pain? What a wonderful thing. And he who sits on the throne, remember, he who sits on the throne, the one who's faithful and true, he who sits on the throne, who says, "One day you'll sit here with me on my throne." It says in verse 5, "He who sits on the throne, behold, I am making all things new." And he said, "Write, for these words are faithful and true." That's your thought for a day, and I hope it's a great thought for you. It sure is for me. What a day that will be when my Jesus we shall see. I just want to see Jesus. God bless you. Have a great day.